Good evening, everyone, and happy Election Day. Tuesday at 9:30, you know what that means. Bobcat Breakdown is live. Fall sports playoffs have finally begun in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. We have all things Quinnipiac soccer coming your way, including two women's soccer athletes live. As for women's hockey team and the Eastern Collegiate Athletic Conference, league play has begun. The Bobcats have begun their first conference games at High Point Solutions Arena this past weekend. Q30 Sports women's ice hockey beat reporter Phil Akery joins me to talk out the weekend. Plus, our coveted Bobcat Breakdown Game of the Week. See what our analysts think. Straight ahead. All aboard that's coming aboard. Bobcat Breakdown starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here in Studio 125. I have the pleasure today of sitting alongside your analysts for the night, Shane Dennehy and John Franklin. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on with you, MJ.
It's always a pleasure, MJ.
All right, guys, so let's jump right into the action. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. This phrase perfectly encapsulates the Quinnipiac women's soccer team's first MAC postseason tournament in a non-auto bid season. Quinnipiac traveled to West Long Branch, New Jersey this past weekend with its eyes on the prize, a Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference championship. On Friday, Quinnipiac defeated Siena 1-0, earning a spot in the MAC championship for the first time in program history. Al Pelletier notched the lone goal for the Bobcats following a set play off a free kick. With the off day on Saturday, Quinnipiac looked to prepare for conference foe Monmouth. The Hawks defeated the Bobcats earlier this season, but it took a comeback and overtime to do so. This time around, things went a bit differently. Monmouth dominated play for almost the entire game, recording 23 shots to Quinnipiac's 3. 3 first-half goals from the Hawks propelled them to victory, winning by a final score of 5-2. Guys, I'm going to let you tell the stats, but really, is Monmouth a perennial powerhouse in the MAC?
Shane, you want to start off with this one, or you want me to take it?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
Honestly, Monmouth definitely has to be the class of the MAC. They won the MAC by 7 points this year. They're 14-4-2, 9-0-1 in the MAC. One loss. They're coming in on a 12-match unbeaten streak, but they just utterly dominated Quinnipiac this game. They had that early shot from 29 yards out, an absolute banger, and then a cross that, unfortunately for Quinnipiac, was misjudged by Myshevsky and went into the back of the net and forced Quinnipiac to really come out of their defensive setup that they were planning on hoping and just counterattacking, but Monmouth really showed their prowess in the attack.
Yeah, Shane, I have to agree with you. Monmouth was 5-0 at home coming into this game. You know, they were dominating, as Shane said, in all facets of the game. They had 17. They were top in the league in goals as a team, 17 more than the second-place team, which was Quinnipiac. They had a .71 goals against average. They were dominant this season on the defensive side as well as the offensive side. 4 players ranked in the top 10 for them in goals. Monmouth was hands down the best team in the MAC. They were the ones to beat. They didn't get beaten. They won it all.
I mean, in past years, too, this Monmouth team has just been absolutely outstanding. 4 regular season championships in a row, 2 conference championships in 4 years. The last one, of course, coming 4 years ago, and that was down in Disney when they do the MAC tournament down there. But 3 losses for this Monmouth Hawks team in 4 seasons. I'd say that's pretty dominant over the past 4 seasons.
Unbelievable.
So, you know, freshman goaltender in net for the Bobcats, Olivia Myshevsky. Were these stakes too high for her? What was the deal?
I'm going to say no. She did win 2 state championships in high school. People forget. She won 2 state championships in high school. But the big factor, in my opinion, in this one, Shane, was that Quinnipiac not only had a freshman in net, but had overall 8 underclassmen in their starting lineup, whether it be a sophomore or a freshman. Monmouth, on the other hand, 7 out of their starting 11 were juniors, seniors, or grad students. They just had a dominant level of upperclassmen and a bevy of upperclassmen to choose from, as well as goalkeeper Amanda Knobb. She led the MAC in the biggest goalkeeping stats that you can: goals against, save percentage, shutouts. It's hard to bet against Monmouth here, and I don't think the stakes were too high for Myshevsky at all. I think it was just a better Monmouth team with much more experience in the situation.
Yeah, I have to agree. Monmouth just shut down everybody on Quinnipiac's team. Nadia Gill really didn't do much. All she did was draw the penalty. Al Pelletier didn't do much. Nadia Gill, like I said, Myshevsky really, they caught her out with the 20-yarder early on, and then the mishit cross that went into the back of the net really just caught her off guard. And she's a really strong goaltender. Quinnipiac has a lot of young, good, talented players. They can definitely be a player in the MAC for years to come.
And as a former washed-up goalkeeper in high school, I know what it's like, when you're a younger player and you think you can do it all, and then one thing goes wrong and it kind of crumbles to say. But Majewski, don't knock her. She had a great season. Coming as a freshman and have the year that she had is, in my opinion, unbelievable. It's just, I think, a much more talented Monmouth side got the better of Quinnipiac as a whole, and you just can't blame a goalkeeper,
Yeah, no, it's not just all the goaltender's fault. Plus, Monmouth has all this experience. It's Quinnipiac's first time getting to the big stage in the MAC, and just really, they had a great season. Dave Clark did a fantastic job coaching this young team.
Absolutely.
Dave Clark, I actually made the trip to Monmouth, guys. Dave Clark said after the game, when you're down 3-0 to a team like Monmouth at the half, it's more about damage control than anything else. Playing for pride is what he said after the game. But we've said enough about the players ourselves. Let's take a listen into what they have to say. Q30 Sports Director Sierra Goodwill, she's standing by with Al Pelletier and Kelly Caruso of the women's soccer team. Sierra, what do you got for us?
I'm joined alongside Kelly Caruso and Al Pelletier, 2 members of the Quinnipiac women's soccer team. Thanks for joining me, guys.
You're welcome.
So you just lost in the MAC championship to Monmouth 5-2. Obviously, disappointment is still there. But have you guys had time to reflect on all of the success that you guys had this season?
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely disappointing to lose in the championship, but we made it so much further than we ever thought. And especially coming from winning 3 games my sophomore year to making it this far, this was more than I could have asked for my senior year.
Yeah, especially after the game, a lot of the seniors and everyone was really sad. But then, once we got back on the bus to come back to campus, we were talking about it, and everyone was like, we came so far this year. We left it all on the field. So no one was left disappointed or had any regrets. So everyone just did so good this year.
And going back to the game itself, you guys were down 3-0 heading into the break. What was the vibe and the conversation like at halftime, trying to kind of pull yourself back into the game?
People were pretty upset. I know I was really upset, but then you just kind of have to forget it and get over it. You can either go out and be defeated in the second half and just play awful, or we could go out and give them a fight, and that's what we did.
Yeah, the coaches were saying, just pretend 0-0, leave it all out on the field. It's the last 45 minutes you're going to play this year, and I think everyone just left their heart out on the field.
And Kelly, although you did fall short, how much growth did you see from this program over your 4 years here?
The growth has been amazing. I mean, like I said, coming from a 3-win season to winning double-digit games, it's been amazing, and to be a part of turning this program around is all I could have asked for. I never expected to get this far with this team, so it was really amazing for me.
Can you point your finger to one favorite accomplishment or moment in your 4 years?
Definitely last year on our senior day, we beat Monmouth 3-2 in overtime. That was the best game I could have ever been a part of, and I know it meant a lot to our seniors last year getting the win against them, so that was really exciting.
And Al, you found your way on the score sheet, scoring more towards the end of the season. Is that something that you're going to work on in the offseason to try to be more of an offensive threat come next year?
Yeah, especially after last year, I scored a few goals here and there, but this year I thought I improved a lot from last season, and I know I can only get better from here, and I just can't wait for next season already.
And with 2 years left, where do you see the program going after this run in the tournament? Where do you see this program going in the next few years that you're here?
Well, I definitely see us going back to the MAC championship game. I think now that we know what it's like, what we have to do to get to this point in the season, we know what it's like to lose, and none of us want to go through that again. So I think in the next few years, we're just going to leave it all out on the field every game and just make it to the end.
Thanks so much, guys. And after the break, Eric DaCosta and his men's soccer team had its chance to clinch a regular season MAC title on Wednesday, and women's ice hockey beat reporter Phil Akery is coming your way. You won't want to miss it.
The freshmen this year have stepped in and really just eliminated that problem, doing the right plays at the right time.
I mean, it certainly seems like an uphill battle for this team, but Trisha Fabi is one of the best coaches at this university.
Bobcats hosting Arizona State. We'll start with this power play.
But she's strong. Good Lord, I saw her lifting one time. She could squat 3 of me.
Oh, well, 7 of me then.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Pause.
In the end, we're here to win the championship this year.
Jess Fontaine now has that. She's going to take a ripper off the post, but she's going to come back.
And my number one, hold your applause, Bobcats fans, is Quinnipiac.
All right, Victoria, you know what time it is. It's top 5 plays of the week.
My favorite time. This week's trending topic is #that. We are your source for Quinnipiac entertainment news.
Thanks for sticking with us here on Bobcat Breakdown. Gentlemen, let's jump right into men's soccer. Why don't we? Eric DeCosta and company looking for a regular season title, and that they got. Ryan Scheidemann notched the only goal of the contest on Wednesday against Fairfield on a free kick for the Bobcats. Quinnipiac captured its 3rd MAC regular season title in 4 years. The turnaround, gentlemen, from last year to this year is absolutely phenomenal. 2 wins all season last year, 1 in the conference, 8 this year. So really, I guess the question I have for you is this season a MAC championship or bust season?
Honestly, I wouldn't call it a MAC championship or bust season. They've had a lot of success. You know, like you said, 3 out of 4 years to win the MAC in the regular season is great in of itself. They still got some young leaders. Daly's only a sophomore. Whalen's having a great year. Yacovides between the pipes is having a great year. If they win against Canisius, obviously that's huge. If they win it all, that would be unbelievable. But if not, I don't think it's MAC or bust.
I have to disagree. I think it is MAC title or bust. They struggled last year, a really poor year, but they got 3 things this year. They have goal scoring. Eamon Whalen has 10 goals this year. They couldn't put the ball in the net last year. They just couldn't. And then obviously James Doig is coming back for this Canisius game. That is an absolute huge game for Quinnipiac. Fusimar Cordero is coming back after his suspension from the Rider game for bad language. And then defense and goalie. Yeppe Are and Connor McCoy have been absolutely stellar in the center of the defense this year for Quinnipiac, and then Chris Yacovides has been phenomenal. Those 3 freshmen have been phenomenal for Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac definitely must win the MAC this year. And this is a redemption for 2014 when they were hosting and they lost to Fairfield in the semis on PKs.
Shane, you know, I agree with everything you said, but the reason that I would say it's not necessarily championship or bust is the fact that, as you said, they turned it around. You know, they came back, they had a rough year last year, come back, have a great campaign, and you said it, that James Doig, you know, he goes down with an injury. You said it wasn't going to really make a difference, and it didn't. So I got to say that this future looks so bright that if they don't win a championship, they're going to be scary for a few years to come. That's my opinion.
But last year was a blip for them. They weren't expected to do that badly. They're perennial powers in the MAC. They're expected to be up there and competing for the MAC championship, and that's what they're doing this year, and that's not what they did last year.
Fair enough.
I think those are both great sides of the argument, gentlemen, but let's take a look at the bracket. Quinnipiac obviously hosting the MAC soccer semifinals and finals here at Quinnipiac. So the first matchup is going to be at 10 o'clock on Friday. The number 1 seed Quinnipiac taking on the number 5 seed Siena. And then same thing on Friday at 1 p.m. We have the number 2 Rider and the number 3 seed. So what team do you think here is going to be the biggest threat, if you will, to the Bobcats?
Shane, take it.
I'm going to have to go with Rider on this one. I was on the call for that game for QBSN. It was just an absolute disaster for Quinnipiac. The ref really had a poor performance, inconsistent with the calls. But Quinnipiac definitely getting 3 men sent off. Just definitely going to look for a redemption against Rider. But Rider, one of the best teams in the MAC, first in goals allowed with only 16, have been stellar on the defense. So they did a great job of just isolating Eamon Whalen up top. Really didn't do anything during that game at all. Really struggled.
I agree. Rider is hands down the team in this tournament that's going to give them the hardest time. The 3-1 loss. Anyone who's ever played soccer ever or any sport ever knows when you lose, and it's mostly because of some sort of underlying issue with the refs, whatever you might call it. You want to come back and you want to bury that team, and this is Quinnipiac's chance to do it. This is their opportunity to say, hey, that was a fluke. We're here to win it all. This is our conference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And guys, if I'll just intervene for a second, I believe I did misspeak. It was Quinnipiac playing Canisius and Rider playing Siena. I think I said Siena both times. But nonetheless, Quinnipiac, the number 1, taking on number 5 Siena. That game at 10 a.m. on Friday. Also, 10 a.m., not a usual time that a soccer team's meant to play.
No.
So what's your take on that?
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a
It
big
is what it is?
Yeah, get up early, get on the pitch, and get a win. That's my opinion.
All right.
Yeah.
Shane, do you have?
Yeah, it's just the usual thing, it's just like getting up for class. You got to do it. And they just got to go out and perform.
I think it's to be a little more fun than class, don't you?
Yeah,
Players got to
definitely got to get them
students got to go to class. I get it.
That's right. So now let's move on to women's ice hockey. The women's team came home to High Point Solutions Arena this weekend to play host to Clarkson and St. Lawrence. On Friday night, Quinnipiac welcomed the Clarkson Golden Knights back to the TD Sports Center. The last time these two teams faced each other here in Hamden, Clarkson ended Quinnipiac's historic season in the first round of the NCAA tournament. This time around, Clarkson did not end the season for Quinnipiac, but instead a 2-game winning streak, handing the Bobcats their first conference loss of the season. Cindy Rossman allowed 5 goals in the game and got pulled for the first time in her career as a Bobcat in the 5-2 loss on Saturday. Quinnipiac, though, looked to bounce back against St. Lawrence on Saturday. They failed to do so, dropping the game by a score of 1-0. No penalties were called in the game, and Cass Turner said after the game that her team needed to be better in 5-on-5 situations. Women's ice hockey beat reporter Phil Akery is going to join me now. Phil, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having us, guys.
So, Phil, Quinnipiac struggled on Friday night against Clarkson. What really went wrong for this Bobcats team?
Yeah, MJ, it was a weird game overall. I mean, you have to think this Bobcats team was coming off 2 victories where they beat Yale 4-1 and they beat Brown 8-0. But I think the thing that stood out to me the most, and probably everyone at the game, was the play of goaltender Sydney Rossman. She did not really look into it the entire game. Her head was out of it. Even before she let up the first goal of the game, she skated around the ice looking a bit dejected. And it seems weird to say this, the reigning ECAC goaltender of the year. But guys, she gave up a goal from the red line. That's the middle of the ice. It was a bouncer, and obviously no goalie wants to give it up, especially one of Rossman's caliber. Then she gave up one where she blocked it, fell off her chest, thought the play was over. Clarkson, a skater, came right in, wide open chunk of the net and scored. And she said the next day, it was not the way that she wanted to play at all. And it's not like her to play this bad from someone that's been covering them for any of the beat reporters that have covered her. And she was also pulled from the game with 15 minutes left, and she had never been pulled from a game in her career. But besides Rossman's play, you have to look at the offense. It was non-existent in the game. TT Cianfrano and Melissa Samaskevich both kind of isolated. Also, Emma Woods couldn't get in on the scoring. They came into the game, obviously, as I said, scoring 12 goals in 2 games against Yale and Brown. And obviously, they're not the same level of caliber as Clarkson, but it's still kind of crazy to see they only scored 1 goal. And obviously, they were 0 for 2 on the power play, and they kind of looked confused at times, didn't know where the puck was.
So, Phil, although Quinnipiac lost 1-0, on Saturday, they actually got swept on the weekend at home. Are there any positive takeaways that you can take from this game, and can this team's confidence really be fixed after this weekend?
Well, MJ, I think when you look at the St. Lawrence game, there are a lot of positives to take away from it. I think you have to look right back at Sydney Rossman again. She bounced back magnificently, and she only let up 1 goal to the nation's hottest team, essentially. This St. Lawrence team came into the game undefeated, red hot, and they were scoring an average of 3 goals a game. And to hold them to only 1 is pretty big for Rossman, but also the defense. And Rossman, after that game, said that the team just valued plays a lot more than they did against Clarkson. And also, one more positive from that game were the surprise starters from the game. You saw Emma Greco, who's typically on the second line. She got the start. And also Alicia Berry, who's typically on the third line, got the start because obviously Cass Turner wanted to shake it up. And it proved to be pretty good because obviously the defense only let up that 1 goal. And it's good to see the team has that necessary depth. And also the freshman Sarah Ev Katu-Gabao, if I'm saying that right, she made her highly anticipated debut after NCAA regulation rules prohibited her for the first 10 games. And she looked quick on ice. She was on the second line, already ahead of Kenzie Lancaster. And she looks to be pretty good for the rest of the season.
So, Phil, I guess real quickly here, a quick hitting question. Losing 2 straight conference games, especially both of these coming at home, does this affect the team's confidence moving forward through the rest of the season?
No, I don't think at all, MJ. You know why? Because this team has said throughout the season that the polls don't matter. It's just numbers to them. Because we obviously know this team is talented. They lost a lot of people last year, but they're just going to play their hockey. There's a new chemistry developing. They're just working on finding on their defensive identity right now. There's still a lot of the season to go, and they're looking forward to both playing the Clarkson and St. Lawrence's team that they just faced. And Captain Emma Woods said there's a lot more season left, and they took both these losses as lessons.
Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
We're going to take one more short break. But when we return, it's time to talk some volleyball. Chris Saplinski and company dropping 2 games in a row in 4 of their last 6. And of course, we won't leave you without our game of the week, men's soccer semifinals against Canisius. Down the stretch we come on Bobcat Breakdown.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
The freshmen this year have stepped in and really just eliminated that problem, doing the right plays at the right time.
I mean, it certainly seems like an uphill battle for this team, but Tricia Fabi is one of the best coaches at this university.
Bobcats hosting Arizona State. We'll start with this power play.
But she's strong. Good look. I saw her lifting one time. She could squat 3 of me. Like,
oh, well, 7 of me then.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around. Shane, John, let's talk some women's volleyball now. Quinnipiac has dropped 2 matches in a row, including blowing a 2-0 lead over Canisius on Saturday. Quinnipiac now sits at number 3 in the conference, heading into its last regular season game against Fairfield. Guys, is there really any chance this Quinnipiac team wins this game?
I'm going to say no. The team has had a great season so far, surprise, but Fairfield is too good. Quinnipiac hasn't played well on the road. This is a recipe for failure, if I would say, for this team.
It's probably going to be a really bad loss for Quinnipiac, but honestly, they really have to be proud of themselves for this year. An incredible turnaround from having 3 wins all of last year to this, to be even making the playoffs is just an unbelievable accomplishment for this team.
Guys, Fairfield 17-0 in the conference. Also, they are hosting the MAC tournament this year, so just adding something more to the Fairfield resume for this season. And Quinnipiac, really, they should have beat Canisius this weekend, up 2-0.
That was a big drop.
A 5-11 team. It's really a team they should beat.
I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off,
go ahead.
MJ. It's just showing the youth of this team. It's just freshmen across the board, big situations where they need to finish games up on the road and they just couldn't. That's going to definitely play a factor against Fairfield, like you said, MJ, a team that's yet to be beaten in the
But in you guys' opinions, where will they really finish this season in terms of the MAC standings?
You know, you can see them finishing from 3 to 5. You really could. But honestly, like I said, I really don't see them even winning a playoff game. But obviously, it's a short trip down to Fairfield, but it's going to be really tough for them to even get a chance. And like you said, Quinnipiac winning the first 2 sets against Canisius and losing the next 3, you have to wonder if the problems from years past are rearing their ugly head again.
Well, I believe that they're going to, if they hold on to the 3rd seed and everything stays the same in the MAC as it is, they take on Ryder in that first round. I think they will beat Ryder if they get a chance to play Ryder, hypothetically. And then if they beat Ryder, then they have to play Marist on the road. That they're not going to go
technically neutral.
Technically
but
neutral, but they're not going to get past that Marist team. They beat them once home in a neutral site. They're not going to beat them. Definitely a turnaround. Definitely a great year for this team, but it's not going to go farther than that.
No, like you said, just if they come up against the likes of Marist or Fairfield, they don't have a shot at this. They really don't. But definitely, they do definitely have to be proud of what they've done this year.
So let me put it this way, guys. Quinnipiac, of course, was at the number 2 seed earlier on in the season. They've since dropped to number 3. This team no longer is in the position as of right now to get a first-round bye. How big is that going to be?
Well, if they get the first round bye, obviously that's huge.
Right, of course. For a program that was, so poor last year.
3-28 overall. That's a turnaround. Chris Saplinski, tip of the cap to him for what he's done with recruiting and all the freshman talent that they've brought in. But a first round bye would be huge for this team. If they can somehow figure out a way to get that first round bye by beating Fairfield at the end of this season, that could spell a turnaround. And when they're hot, this team is scary.
Yeah, definitely. If they can somehow shock Fairfield, and overtake Marist to get into that 2 seed. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Who knows? Maria Panizzari has been absolutely incredible, getting over 1,000 assists. The first Quinnipiac player to do that as a D1 when they've been D1.
All right, guys, so now let's transition over to our Game of the Week segment. Our Bobcat Breakdown producers, of course, picking the men's soccer MAC semifinal game against Canisius as the Game of the Week. This game being played again Friday, 10 a.m. here at the Quinnipiac Soccer Field. Quinnipiac getting the earlier of the 2 games. I was at Men's Soccer Media Day today. The team said they were in favor of getting that earlier game as compared to the 1 o'clock, due mostly in part to field conditions. But I'd like to hear you guys' take. Shane, we'll start with you. In the Game of the Week, who do you got?
I got Quinnipiac taking this one. They beat Canisius early in the year, 1-0 up in Canisius in overtime. But Quinnipiac, they got James Doig coming back, which is a huge help. And Eamon Whalen is definitely going to benefit from this. He's been struggling a little, hasn't been putting the ball in the back of the net the last couple of games. But James Doig can definitely facilitate that in the midfield. Cordero is also coming back. McCoy is also coming back. Quinnipiac definitely has the upper hand in this one.
I have to agree with you, Shane. It's like we talked about earlier. This team has so much talent to offer. Canisius is... Obviously, they made the playoffs. They're a good team, but the way that the Bobcats are playing right now, they're rearing an ugly head, and I do not think that they're going to lose to Canisius.
Yeah, you definitely still got to look at Canisius, though. Their goaltender, Marco Trivelato, is first in goals against averaging under less than 1 goal, and they're on a 6-match unbeaten streak. You definitely cannot overlook this Canisius team.
Guys, I'll just give you my 2 cents here in the Game of the Week. I'm going to go with Quinnipiac as well. Something that stood out for me, as I said, I was at Men's Soccer Media Day today. Eric DeCosta is having his team stay in a hotel Thursday night. So they have a home game, yet they're going to go stay in a hotel off campus so that there's no distractions for Friday's game. Can you say you're more dialed in than that?
I like that move from a person who played soccer and knowing coaching. That's definitely going to benefit
Impressive,
this team.
huh?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you're with your team all night. You eat dinner together. You sleep together. You wake up. You have breakfast together. You get to the fields. And just to add more to it, you get to the field, and then your fans and your family are here. Your friends and your family are here to see the game.
Yeah, it's family, brotherhood, all of the above for this team.
I talked to James Doig too today. He said, this team, he's been out a couple weeks, obviously, as Shane, you mentioned, with the arm injury. He's seen some things on the sideline that he wants to go in and make a difference with. However, he likes the way the boys have been playing. He's excited to get back out there and play with his team. Guys, that's all the time we have today. Follow our website at Q30television.com for all our sports content, as well as on social media. You can find us at Q30 Television and at Q30 Sports. For our producers behind the scenes, our executive producers and associate producers of Bobcat Breakdown, Shane Dennehy, John Franklin, I'm MJ Baird, and everyone else behind the scenes today. Thanks for watching from Studio 125. Remember, everyone, the sun will rise tomorrow. We'll see you next time.